Hey everybody, welcome to Black Hollywood Live. This is the Get Down After Show, and we're so excited for you to be here. Tell us what you think in the comments. Hit us up on iTunes. We're starting now. Oh my goodness. This girl has pipes, guys.
I get chills.
Wonderful.
Such amazing thrills. So excited to be here. You guys, we're going to talk about the pilot of the Get Down today. I want to know your thoughts. We're live now on YouTube. You can always hit us up on iTunes or on Twitter. My name's Joelle Monique. You can find me all over the internet at Joelle Monique. This is my lovely panel.
Hi everyone, my name is Sheldon White. You can find me on all social media at Sheldon White 2, and I am super excited to be here.
I'm Heather Yerrid. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Heather Yerrid.
And I'm Tory Devon Smith. You can catch me on Instagram at Tory Devon Smith. You can catch me on Twitter at Tory Devon Smith.
You guys, Tory Devon Smith is in the house. How exciting is this?
Little woof.
I love Booth. Thank you guys. Thank you. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Oh, God, thank you so much for having me.
How has the reaction from fans been?
Oh, the reaction has been really, really fantastic. I mean, everyone knows about it, and I've gotten so many messages on my Facebook, and I've gotten messages on my phone from family and friends, so it's been really, really fantastic.
So I know you saw the pilot at a preview beforehand, and you were telling us before we got on air that you got to sit next to Devon Diggs.
I did. I actually went.
David Diggs.
David Diggs. Yeah, I went to the premiere on Friday in New York, and I got to sit next to him and watch the pilot.
So exciting.
It was really, really great. I was just like, oh my God, he just won a Tony. He's right there.
I also want to say welcome to Hamilton fans, because I'm sure there are so many of you out there. I am a Hamilton fan. You guys do the Hamilton thing? You guys into it? Maybe?
I haven't seen it, but I've heard some of the music,
it's okay.
and it's awesome.
I will speak in just Hamilton terms the whole time to confuse the panel, and it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm not. No,
It's changing sort of, Broadway in a way. And I actually have a really great friend named Voltaire who's in it. We grew up together in Bakersfield.
That's so amazing.
He's an assistant choreographer.
That's awesome.
That's what David told me. And I was like, oh my God, Voltaire. So I'm uber proud of him.
I know you guys shot in New York, and I hear that there's actually a lot of Hamilton cast kind of floated over.
There
into
was. I actually had no clue. I was only sort of concentrated with what I had. So I'm so excited to see their performances. So much of it I haven't seen yet.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited. I really enjoyed the pilot. Before we kind of get into the story, I want to ask you guys, I don't know if you guys have seen Cooley High, but it's like a quintessential hip-hop film. And one of the questions we start out the movie with is, when did you first fall in love with hip-hop? And I was reminded of that question as I was watching this. I first fell in love with hip-hop in junior high when somebody gave me Nas's Illmatic, and I was like, what is happening? This is such a good album. And then slowly I got into Biggie and Tupac, and then Lauryn Hill and more conscious rap with Common and stuff. And now I'm at, really into Chance the Rapper. And Anderson .Paak is having a huge impact on my life right now. And then, of course, if you guys listen to No Name Gypsy, her new album, Telephone, just dropped. It is on SoundCloud, and it's amazing. I'll promote it everywhere I go, because she's Chicago and wonderful. When did you guys fall in love with hip-hop?
Let's see, when I was growing up, my dad and my mom actually were kind of like, we want you to listen to Motown. Like, they didn't really let me listen to hip-hop for a while.
Awesome parents.
I know,
awesome
right?
Parents.
And then eventually I heard Yeah by Usher, and that was actually like my first hip-hop song I totally just loved. Absolutely, yeah.
Grandmaster Flash. I'm hands
my
down a fan.
God.
Absolutely. The Message, please. The Message. And then when I reheard it in '97, when Diddy redid it, I've been a fan the whole time. I was born with it. I think my mother put it on the womb.
Yeah.
And I know Earth, Wind, and Fire isn't considered hip hop, but all the way back to Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Well, yeah.
The R&B soul started in rap, so I totally
they sampled from most of those artists. My first experience, I fell in love with hip hop was when I snuck a tape from my foster sister, and it was Dr. Dre's The Chronic.
Yeah.
I had a cassette tape, and I listened to it on my radio, and I didn't understand it. I was really, really young back then, and I just heard all of these inappropriate things happening. I think somebody was orgasming, but I didn't understand why, but I was so intrigued. And I thought, God, he sounds so dangerous.
That's like doggy style with Snoop. So I used to listen. Like if I was angry, I would get my ear down to the speaker, and Snoop would just do it doggy style. There was someone peeing the back in juice. I was like, oh, okay, this is great.
All of the naughty things. The Whisker song
Right.
and are the first like very dirty like raps I was doing. I was like, this is so wrong. It's filthy, but I love it. Great. So we know we're kind of diving into the origins of hip hop in the Get Down, and I guess I want to start. Let's start with our main crew, with the guys. So we have Zeke, Boo Boo, Dizzy, and Rara. First of all, these young actors are so talented. There's so many Jaden Smith doubters out there, and after this, I'm gonna be like, say something, because I really, really like his character,
great.
Dizzy. He's so
great.
I will stand and rep weird black kids for my whole entire life. Like, bring on the nerds. Like, even Rara with his comic collection. Like, I collect comic books, and I was like, I'm really feeling this, like, very cool, nerdy, like, avant-garde weird black kids. Like when he's prophesizing in the train station and the guy's like, he's weird.
Well, Jada's like that anyway. If you remember, like Will and Jada got heat a while back because they were talking a lot of esoteric and like hermetic philosophies very early on. So I thought that this aligned with his character very much in this. I was like, oh, maybe that's why he got it, because they are very deep, and he is very deep. Like time is an illusion. It is. And he was rapping all that stuff in this. So I thought it was a perfect alignment for him.
To watch them perform these roles, it was quite seamless. It was sort of effortless the way that they performed it, and I found that to be wonderful.
Yeah, and I think it's really great. We don't get a lot of carefree black kids on TV, and to see these kids, like, just seeing their world from their perspective. I know Baz Luhrmann has been getting a lot of heat for wanting to tell this story in particular. Yeah, people, I made that exact same face when I was reading. People were like, I don't understand, like, we need, like, black people to tell black people's stories. It's like, well, look, the story wouldn't have gotten made if Baz Luhrmann hadn't been like, you know what, this is a story that needs to be told. So he brought it to the table, and then he hired just people who were actively within the community.
Yeah,
like,
he had a team of people that knew what he might not
Grandmaster
know.
Flash, who was like, yes, and then he hired Nas to make the raps, and then he hired playwrights who specifically work on urban black plays. It's a very black show. I really appreciate it. I think it's incredibly authentic and beautifully done. So high props and praise to Baz Luhrmann.
He does musicals, so that's like his thing.
Yeah.
Black, white, yellow, purple. I feel like that's his thing.
Yeah, and I think people forget, because we live in the sensitive time and era where, people are trying to dictate how art should be sort of performed. They don't realize art is a community.
Absolutely.
It's a community of a lot of different people. No one does it alone. And so for me, for Baz to take over this project, I thought that makes complete sense.
For sure.
He's a very ingenious director. He's going to get the help that he needs.
And when you do the research on what the time, the effort, and the research he really put into making sure that this was right and making sure that the story was theirs, I wanted to ask you guys, how did you feel about those collage documentary kind of inserts in between the transitions from scene to scene? I really liked it. I thought they resonated very well.
I
think
felt
it was
like
amazing.
it set the tone. It let you. I didn't know much about the Bronx in that time period, and it brought me to there. And it seemed like it was real footage. It looked like real footage.
I
at the
believe
very
it was
least,
a
if it
mixture
wasn't,
of real.
It was real.
Like,
It was real.
it just set the
Absolutely,
tone for everything. So I
Yeah,
thought it was
I thought it
very
was great.
effective.
I thought it was
Yeah,
great.
you need exposition to tell the
Absolutely.
story, and we need to look back and see an example, and I thought that was important.
And to know that it was real. Like, this, like, the
Yeah.
look and feel, like, I could easily see people being like, oh, this is so exaggerated, how torn down it is, and buildings are just always burning. I'm like, no, this is time period accurate, and it's done so well, and I really like the way they use newsreels to show, like, that's so far outside of the Bronx perspective. Like, the Bronx is just trying to take care of itself in this time period, and then Manhattan, even in the shot at the beginning when they're like, here's Manhattan, and then all the way over here we have the Bronx. It's a completely different world, even though they're both in New York. I really like the way they set up the show. And then we come in on Zeke, who is one of my favorite characters in a long time. Like, he's very sweet, but has, like, confidence, but is kind of scared to show it off. To hear him rapping in the kitchen, and Baz Luhrmann does love so well. How did that rap first hit you guys?
His first rap in the kitchen. What was the line? You sound
sing
like
it feels like red velvet?
It feels like red velvet.
Yeah.
Like, what a line! And it coming from this kid. It just, I don't know. I loved it.
It's beautiful.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
the love, everything was based off love. His heart in this, his intensity, everything he did was love. We were talking about that earlier. Like,
Absolutely, yeah.
that started it. I really was impressed though in the classroom. So when he hit the classroom and he had that by memory and he did that was it.
Such a
That
powerful
was the first magical moment for me when I saw the pilot.
Same
And I
here.
think
Same here.
Justice Smith, who plays this role, is so fantastically grounded.
It
And
was
that's what brings the
amazing.
truth out of
Absolutely.
it. He's so good in this.
The lack of it's so easy to, I think, overact that moment and to be just so in it, and his face barely moves, but it's so, the reaction from Ms. Green, and then I watched it twice, and the first time I was like, oh yeah, this is really moving, and I cry easily, so I was expecting, but the second time it got me again, and I was like, I knew it was coming. I'm still like
Chills.
in commotion. Like, it was so perfect and a great way, I think, to introduce his backstory.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, Mom, don't worry about your son because I'm the one. Like, and he even got choked up a little bit which showed he was nervous to be the one. But that was it. I got chills both times. That did it for me too.
Yeah.
And his character's so interesting because he has so many walls up. He's so guarded, and it was really cool to see Miss Green, who I loved that character.
Yolanda Ross is an incredibly talented actress, and I hope we see so much more of her.
Because she just kind of broke him down until the walls were gone, and he was able to show his art.
Even when he was like, I hurt my back, I can't go. She's like, don't worry, I'll come to you. I was like, look at this teacher. You don't mess with Miss Green. Miss Green's class is a no mess place. I really enjoyed that whole moment. And then after we get Zeke kind of doing his raps in the kitchen, before we get to the school scene, we meet y'all help me say your name. Mylene. Thank you.
Yeah.
And girl can blow, first of all, which we already talked about at the top of the show, Be That As It May, which is my favorite song from the pilot episode. But Mylene's got some issues of her own that she's dealing with. She's in this house with her father, Giancarlo Esposito, who's one of my favorite actors of all time, and I was so excited to hear that he was going to be in the show. And then to have him as a religious zealot who is really trying to reel his, not a wild child, but he kind of perceives her that way. What did you guys think of their relationship?
I thought it was typical of like a very hardcore family. Every time you have a family where one of the parents is very, like, they hover over them and they don't want them to turn into this bad kid, to me that looked typical. It actually reminded me of my upbringing. Not as intense from a religious perspective, but that whole, like, we will beat the whore out of you. Like, yes. Like,
Oh my gosh.
So I mean, that was pretty normal. Like, and I thought it hit. It resonated.
And how women couldn't be as expressive as they could be. You know, when you think about the time now, women can be much more. That's what we're fighting for. We're
this is
fighting for people to be
pre-Madonna.
themselves. You know what I mean? I always tell women, like, Madonna is rather important what she did.
Gosh,
She
yes.
pushed the sexual agenda and said women can do anything sexually. You know, they can express themselves however
And
they
I'm not
want.
going to be demure about it. I'm going to be completely in your face. And,
As a
and
man
there's nothing
can
you can
be.
do about
Yes.
it.
As
Yes.
a man can be.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
Absolutely.
It's interesting too because her dad, he almost came across. It was hard to watch. It was hard to watch some of the scenes, but at the same time, it was clear that was coming from his love for his daughter, and he was trying to protect her, and this is how he knew how to do that. And I thought it was just really fascinating to watch.
I really like the delicate play of Giancarlo's acting. Like, you're right, it didn't go too far. You definitely felt the love, but also, I was convinced he would, like, if his wife hadn't been there, he'd have just kept wailing on her.
Scary.
It was incredible. It was incredible. I want to talk about her friends now, Yolanda and Regina, who were one of my favorite pairings from it. They are so much, like, too much fun almost. When Regina's like, girl, you look almost as good as me. I was like, well, okay, there it is.
How old are they?
Yeah.
That's what I couldn't figure out.
Yeah,
Well,
I think they're young
sophomores
teenagers.
in high school, so they're about 15, 16.
I mean, because she's
Yeah.
talking about having dick in her and everything like that. I was like,
You know what?
yours from the Hojo. From the Hojo.
Because, you know, Regina's sort of my girlfriend in the show, played by Shirley Rodriguez, and then there's Stephanie Martin, who plays Yolanda. And I had no clue, because I was watching other scenes that they did in later episodes. I didn't know they were that dirty. Regina was like, look at my pussy. Like, oh my God, I'm a mother. How dare you say that to me? I was so impressed how free they were.
Yes.
I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know you guys were dirty.
they were wild and had great comedic timing, and I can always appreciate when women are portrayed as women, and, like, I don't really have time for these silly boys, and I'm out making my own agendas, and we're gonna be friends together, but we can be dirty together. Like, ladies are often,
We can do what we want.
Yeah, we'll curse. It's totally fine. I love those girls, and I hope we get a lot more of them.
I thought it was identical how they got into the club. It truly reminded me of, like, this day and age. So it's like they were like, oh, hey, I know Lil Wolf, this fun boy, let us in. And then, boom, they look at you and you're in. I mean, that was it. I thought that made me feel good. I was like, all right, here we go.
Well, now that we're there, let's talk about those party scenes. So I've been reading from cast and different reaction about filming those scenes, and they said they were actually a party. Is that true?
Absolutely. I remember actually Yaya, who plays Cadillac. There was a moment where he was doing his solo, but we didn't stop filming. And he kept going. And every extra, all of us, kept just moving on with him. And then it turned where he stopped, and then we all just randomly, without any sort of direction, we all just came together and started hustling. It was really, it was almost like this great crescendo, this great resolution. And I don't know if that sort of made it on film, but it was a magical moment, I remember.
It definitely has the atmosphere of a party that I think a lot of filmings of parties don't really articulate, in that there was constant motion, and it never felt like, you never got the sense of like somebody was going, action, okay, and now we kind of dance in the background.
Yeah.
Like, it felt like people were having a good time. I'm watching some of the extras in the background, and they're laughing hysterically, and I'm like, this is like an actual party. People are really enjoying themselves. What was it like watching Yaya dance? I have to tell you, that was one of my favorite parts of that scene. He's so enigmatic as he's like hustling down the line, and
to see him under the
girl.
lights and the disco ball was just so fantastic. And Yaya, who is just so wonderful and such a fantastic actor, was so great to work with. He actually taught me a lot in terms of how to sort of analyze a script and everything like that. So to watch him shine was just magical.
Like what? What did you guys go over script-wise?
Well, there were times where you would get a copy of the script, and the first draft, let's say I had a lot more dialogue, and then drafts would obviously change. And I would look at a script and I'd think, oh, my part, is shortened. There's less here. And then he would tell me, actually, that first draft that you saw is where the writers want to go with the character. So keep that in mind. And I thought,
so
that's
smart.
great.
okay. I look at scripts that way now. If I'm in a series and they change it, and I think that's where the writers want to go. And for every reason, maybe they can't put that on the page right now. So yeah.
Copy. It's so great actually getting to meet you and see you in person, because you're like, you're obviously an actor and you're supposed to encompass other characters, but you're like nothing like Little Wolf. Like,
I know. It's so encouraging, because both Boz and Catherine came up to me, and sometimes you don't know if you make an effect, because I'm going in and out. I'm in about half of the series, but I have a scene here, a scene there, and I think once you see it all come together, so you don't know if you're making an effect on people, because there's a lot more production, there's a lot more leads to sort of concentrate on, and then for them to pull me aside and say, "You are just fantastic. What you're bringing to this character is fantastic," and I think, really? I had no clue. Thank you so much. She's like, "You're so intimidating." I said, "Really?" So it's really great to, I come from a theatrical background, so I want to be as versatile as I possibly can, and you can only do that with roles like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did great with the sneak tip when you guys were trying to get Mylene
I
in
know.
Cadillac.
So
How fun was that? Was it as
fun.
easy as it looked? Because you made it look
No,
seamless.
it wasn't as easy for me, because I was sort of cast later, and so the dance team and Yaya, that entire scene, they were rehearsing, I think maybe weeks or a couple of months before, and I actually came down pretty close to the time we were actually going to start shooting that scene, and so I had to learn everything in a matter of hours.
Wow.
And so I'm a dancer, sort of a mover, but choreography is a little bit more difficult for me to pick up. And so the choreographers were really gracious to me, and the dance team was very, very gracious and patient with me. And I finally got it the day of. And then you improv and you have fun.
looks
I'm
great.
dancing with Stephanie, who plays Yolanda, and Regina, my girl, and Mylene, Horizon. So they were very, very nice to me, and I finally got as much as I could.
Well, you nailed it.
I would say you would
Absolutely.
never have been able to tell.
Oh, that's
Seriously.
nice.
Yeah,
It's
that's
really
great.
That's
I mean,
the
it's
magic
great.
of film, y'all. They edit that shit so you don't see nothing.
They did good. They did good. That was like
Thank
my
you.
favorite. I was like, oh, there it is.
Yeah, it's so wonderful.
So I guess we should go into Malibu next, who was such a great character. Malibu's arrival at the club to going inside to his rap duel with Zeke was just so perfect. I really liked his very old school hip hop, like old man, no nonsense kind of approach to things. Like, I don't play games. I see you, kid. I know when I'm being hustled. When he calls out the accent, I was
At
done.
the end, yeah.
I
was
love
done.
Yeah, I did too.
I didn't know he said that, because I was on set when that scene was being filmed, but I was elsewhere, and and it's Billy Porter. It's Billy Porter, and we actually got to be close on set and
yay.
talk like great friends. He was actually going to play Little Richard in a movie and
Really?
things
I
like
didn't
that.
see that.
Yeah,
I totally see that.
we talked about civil rights, the civil rights movement, and there's a fantastic civil rights leader called Bayard Rustin, that was openly gay, but not to the world, sort of just in his circle. And I think he talked about doing something along the lines of his stories. So
pick that up because I will see it.
Hopefully, I'm not like releasing stuff I shouldn't be saying. But
We'll
anyway,
support it. Whoever's doing it, we're here to support that. That sounds like amazing. He's
he was
perfect.
so wonderful. I had to go up to him and say, he's a proud gay black man, and so am I. And I said, what you do for me is very, very important. I just adore him.
He was
adore
great.
him.
He was
Yeah.
great. He was great. I liked the lynx. I swear it was a lynx coat when he walked out in the lynx coat. I was like, oh, I got that coat. It was my grandmother. It was my grandmother.
Your grandma's coat.
It was, but I noticed it. I was like, that's lynx. I was like, that's lynx. I love it. I love it. It was so good. It was so good. I was upset he got killed.
I know.
I was
So
too.
fast. So
There was
quickly.
so much buildup,
No,
and
but
then he was gone.
His outfit, though, it was like the little vest with his stomach
Yeah.
hanging out at the bottom. I thought that was pretty
And then I was talking to Yaya. I was just like, you think I'm going to die by the end? You think I'm going to go? Because I want the money. I want to be in it, You're just, now you don't know with television. And they want to
Sure.
make interesting plot lines. So they'll kill a lead. You're like, oh, God.
Yeah.
You don't know how you're going to
You have a heart
last.
attack every time you get a script. or
Every
you're just
time I'm like,
please
am
not
I-
this page.
I'm serious. That's how I was every single time. I thought, oh no, this is the episode because I'm shooting guns and this is it. And I'm dispensable. They don't care about me.
man.
No, I'm joking.
We have to backtrack a little bit, I guess, to Fat Annie, who is one of my, the craziest, most out of left field characters I think we've had on TV in a really long time. She is so funny, so crass, but of course the moment I think everyone is going to be talking about is that kiss with Shaolin. Which, girl, how did that
Harold
strike-
and Maude.
Yeah. How did that hit you guys? How did you read that scene?
I think it did really good. Like, I think that's perfect. Any type of kingpin, drug lords, especially female, that's how they roll. Especially when she was like, I knew as soon as I saw him doing nickel things on the streets that he would be
It was a
my
very
thing.
macho drug lord kind of thing
I thought it
to
was
do in
amazing.
that moment.
I thought it was
felt
perfect.
honest to the character.
And
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
great. I love that there was a woman. I don't know if that was super accurate to the time, but I love that the person on top was a woman. I thought that was a very awesome choice.
And she's trying to usurp the top, I cannot remember his name. He was a major 80s drug lord kingpin.
Nikki? Was it
Yeah,
Nikki?
yeah.
Yeah.
And he did the Times cover, which at the time was totally scandalous and stuff. And she was like, no, I've got his number. She's like, just give me a little bit. I'm taking over his whole dope business. I wish her luck. I'm glad she made it out alive. She's very interesting.
She
You always
helped
gotta
grab
protect.
that gun.
You always gotta
I
protect.
was
She was
like,
not
she knows
playing.
what she's doing.
Right.
She's getting out of there.
And as scary
Yeah.
as Cadillac can kind of be, he's very kind of an intimidating personality. It's clear she's got him in check. So it'll be interesting to see if they come to blows, if there's some kind of turmoil there later.
I was curious if they had something to do with it, the shooting, because I felt that Big Wolf, your cousin, they were looking at each
He's
other.
my brother, he's my
before.
brother.
Oh, the brother.
Yeah,
excuse
Big Wolf,
me.
yeah.
Yeah, Big Wolf. I was like, I saw them looking at each other, and the fact that Cadillac went upstairs, then he came back down,
Big
even though that was
Wolf
for
is-
Mylene, I was like, huh. I was like, are they in on this?
At the table earlier in the scene, there's definitely, as she's mentioning all the stuff she's planning to do, he's definitely just kind of keeping it
Scheming.
very reserved and okay, I hear what you're planning. It doesn't sound like it's going to come to fruition. So we'll see. I don't know. I'm skeptical at this point who's on whose side. It doesn't seem like anyone is really safe. Even the boys, as close as they are, it seems very easy for some kind of bomb to drop in between them and tear them apart. I hope not. They're so cute.
Oh, no, Shaolin and Zeke, no, they're soulmates.
Okay,
no, they're soulmates.
so let's
They're
move on to
soulmates.
Shaolin. Because first of all, the Japanese influence on the show is great because it's definitely had an influence in especially urban black culture, from anime to music to rap. I really like the way they shoot Shaolin's early scenes as we're learning about the legend from our kind of Greek tragedy narrator at the beginning, the older Zeke, introducing Shaolin as this kind of great guy who never makes a mistake or anything. And of course, as the episode goes on, we see very quickly that he's just a kid trying to survive
Right.
like
Absolutely.
everybody else. He's also down on his luck. He lives in an apartment where he's kind of rigged the electricity and it's a little dangerous. And luckily the city has left the water running. What did you guys think of Shaolin's intro and then the development of his character?
So first of all, every close-up of his face, I saw Tupac. I literally,
Really?
I
Okay.
am a huge Tupac fan. I can rap every lyric that he has,
Yes.
and every time they close up on his face, I got chills. especially when him and Zeke met for the first time, when he dropped
Yeah.
the record. I thought that was amazing. You just knew they were soulmates. You knew that was a serendipitous moment. So I thought that was great, how slick he was. And those Pumas, I'm sure Puma's popping off now. If they were making money,
Red
a lot now,
Pumas.
Puma. What's up? And then I like the grasshopper when Grandmaster Flash was like, "Oh, young grasshopper." I was like, "Oh, it's a grasshopper thing." You know,
I love how every time he left, he like jumped like this.
Yeah.
That was such a
Oh,
funny
my
little
God.
Everybody was
touch.
kung fu fighting.
Yeah. But you're allowed to laugh at it because there's a scene sort of later when he has with Ezekiel before he tries to get Ezekiel into the club. That
Yes.
he does this long,
Oh, yeah, he's screaming.
really hysterical choreography. And you're just like, oh, I can laugh at this.
Well, and I like that
Yeah.
the boys see immediately through all of his BS. Like when they meet him, they're
Right.
like, "No, not you." His slide down the rock where he spray paints, I was like, "Isn't that the epitome of cool, little boys? Like, come on, give him a little bit of props." But they were not feeling it. They were like, "I can't even believe this is a dude we've been worshiping and following around." And
But
like,
then they loved him afterwards.
Yes.
They
They
did love him
did.
afterwards.
Yes.
It kind of surprised me how I mean, in the beginning, he seemed so much like a lone wolf. Like, I didn't see him getting along with the guys so well and then just welcoming them in. And now he's on this team. And I thought that was a really interesting development of his character within the first episode.
Yes, so Grandmaster Flash said, "You always roll alone. You're well liked, but you're always alone." When I heard that in that episode, it almost like literally reminded me of myself. I was like, it kept hitting me. I'm just like, when am I gonna find my wolf pack? Like, because you can't do it alone. DIY
Yeah.
world, no. Okay, you have to have somebody with you.
You're Fantastic Four plus one.
Yeah, and like he
Right.
found his
So great.
wordsmith, and that was the objective. That was just so great.
And
It
we'll
was so
see
great.
throughout the series, we're going to break down his facade.
Ooh,
You know what I
that's
mean?
exciting.
Yeah, he looked at the end when he was like, "We're going to take over the world," when Zeke said that to him. You saw his face. Like, he wanted so bad to believe that was his homie now. Like, this was
Yeah.
his team. And I felt that. Like, every time I got chills when they were together. It was great.
They were super sweet, and I like that the show made it kind of feel like a fable in how they met. Like, he needs the album, but Zeke's got the album. But Zeke's all you're like, Zeke can rap? You guys gotta get together. And you're like watching it, it just feels destined the whole time, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, Grandmaster Flash won't work with him, won't teach him how to be a DJ until he finds his wordsmith. And I won't jump to the end.
You got to find your crew.
to.
Find your crew.
Well, we talked about one party scene, and they leave that party. Oh, okay, wait. That party gets blown to bits. We have a very Godfather-like style in this moment, which I
Yes.
thought was very cinematic and a lot of fun as they're like blowing up the cake
Yeah,
and
how'd you
things
get
are
out of
flying
there?
everywhere.
How did I get out of there?
I was looking for you. I was like,
I didn't know until I got, if I seriously, all I had was episode 1. So I thought, I'm going to get a call when I go home and say, oh, you got shot, so you're done. So I don't know. I had a gun and I shot,
did.
who I needed
You went for
to,
it.
supposedly. And you don't see me for a few more episodes and it's like, oh, he's alive.
Thank God.
So yeah. I don't know how I got out of there, but I guess I'll make it up myself for future interviews. You know what I mean?
With a really great escape story. So the kids get out, and then we have what is just the best and most heartbreaking Romeo and Juliet scene between Yolanda and Zeke, where he finally, without like any BS, is like, "I just love you." My whole heart, like, I wish to be half as smooth as this kid as I'm confessing love to people, where I'm just like, and feelings and things, and he's like got all these beautiful, beautiful words, and she is just like, I really liked her
Mylene,
music.
yeah.
Well, no, I like the way
Mylene,
Mylene
yeah.
was like, "Look, you're not a man. Like, I have plans. I'm gonna get out of here, and what I can't have is somebody who doesn't have the courage to read his own work in front of people. I don't have the time for that." And it's soul crushing, but at the same time, this whole time I kept being worried for Mylene. I was like, "Oh no, in the club she's gonna get duped by these older men." But no, she was totally fine. Like, how is she gonna stand up to her father? But no, she was like, "You're not gonna hit me. I'm gonna leave. I'm fine." And then, like, even with Zeke, when I want them to be together, they're very cute. But even she's still just so confident. And I'm so happy that we have her. But this scene crushed me a little
Oh,
bit.
it's heartbreaking. Zeke with his when he starts speaking, it's how he gets through any situation is his words, and him doing that at the best of his ability, and his words are beautiful, and it's just not landing now.
almost
And it
kissed,
was
and
so
she
hard
almost
to watch.
Yeah, see, I think she's in love with him. I
Oh,
do. I think
for
she
sure.
wants to be with him. Yeah, she
Absolutely,
wants to be with
but-
him. She thinks that he'll keep her there. And I think he did a really good job. Like, he would cry. Like, he immediately, you could see it. And even when, again, his voice would crack and he'd be like, I'm not cocky, but that face is the face of someone who likes me. And I was just like, yes.
You got it, son. It's so close.
It's amazing. Like, I love how strong she is too. I mean, because it's tough in this industry. Like, before I'm a coach now, I don't do TV, but 6 producers, they were like, what are you going to give me? Literally, this was in the last 8 years. I was like, nothing. And I walked out. That is real. So to see her like that was amazing. And then also to see his love. Like, I hope that inspires people out there to love that hard.
Yes.
Like that's what a muse is. That's what life is about. When you love that hard, you keep going. He kept going after that record, just like Shaolin was like, your ass was out there when Malibu was dead, still trying to get the record. That was great.
Last record he ever played. A bitch ass crying about a bitch. I was like, okay, he's a fun kid, man. But even the crying afterwards on the rock, where it was just such a 15, 16-year-old moment. Like, I like the giant swings this show takes between, you know, being beyond your age when you have to be tough and survive in that kind of environment, to being that age and just being a kid. Like, when he's crying off that rock, I was like, I've seen 15-year-old boys do this before. My heart is just broken and I don't know what to do.
Can you tell us anything about the shooting at Les Inferno? My heart was shot out. My heart was shot out. I was like, really? That was so great. I love that.
And from there, we get this amazing when Shaolin learns that they don't know who Grandmaster Flash is and they don't know what a get down is. He's like, but you're a natural wordsmith and you have to come. And then we get this party, which is the second party. It's a very, very long scene again, but it is amazing.
It looked so fun. Like, I just wanted to get up and I was dancing as I was watching
I would go to that
like,
party right now.
I'd be there.
Like,
Done.
Here's an address. I'd be like, of course I'm gonna be there. And we get to see all these really great performances from Cowboy and Grandmaster Flash is on the decks, and we get the explanation of how DJing is invented and where it comes from. And then we get to see Zeke in action. He finally has to build up the courage. What did you guys think of his first attempt?
Oh, I was nervous. My hands are sweating. It was just hard to watch. I don't know.
I figured he was going to mess up the first time. I definitely thought I was very intrigued because as soon as they called him like disco versus because it was different. It was what shocked me was how different the disco, like when you guys were in the club Les Inferno versus this type of underground party. I thought they did a great job of personifying both of those things. And I thought it was cool that in his first time he did mess up, so it led us into again that karmic connection between those two, what it led to him shining. So I thought that was cool.
And the introduction of freestyling, you know what I mean? Sort of the start of that. And how much courage that takes and how much smarts that takes. You know, you have to really think on your feet and really look at the situations around you and sort of be inspired by everything.
Well, and then dig on the whole audience, because they were fast to turn on him. Like, it was, like 2 bars out, and they were like, this fool is not true. He is a lie, and he needs to leave. And I thought it was great how Shaolin decided to, like, kind of divide the attentions. He's like, let me just break dance in the middle of here and show them what's up.
And that's how he got back at them, right? Like, that was his way of, like, it was like a battle of rapping. Instead, he did the breakdance, which coincidentally remind me of this day and age house and trance shuffle. Like, in certain, like, there's a song, Is It Love? It's a house song, but, like, when he was dancing, I was like, oh, this was the start of the shuffle, which we do now in house when we listen to house, when we listen to trance. I was like, oh.
I'm learning so much from you. I'm in the damn thing. And I'm like, what? Wow.
Yay.
Exceptional over here. Exceptional.
Thank you.
Of course.
But also, when they did the description of how, like, Grandmaster Flash did his music with the 2 records as well, same thing. In house music, it's all beat. When you drop the beat, it's in the instrumental. So when they described that here, I was like, so good. We repeated it again.
History.
We got it from hip hop.
I love the building of history. And then, of course, Zeke decides, like he's like, I'm going to jump in on this. Like, he gets his confidence back. He joins in. He kills it. He slays the other team. He's like, no, I'm king. And then we get the forming of the Fantastic Four +1 on the roof after we see the mega disc collection. And they're friends now, and they're buddies, and I'm really excited about this bond. I'm loving Boo Boo, Dizzy, and Rara's family, their mom and their dad. When their dad comes in playing the sax, I was like, you guys are so cute.
So cool. I mean, it showed how they appreciate music in all forms. Like,
Right. Definitely. You get a feel of, like, the dad was probably active in the Harlem Renaissance, kind of, like, history research and stuff, and that he's bringing that to his kids. I like, my grandfather owns a barber shop and has that same old world mentality of, like, when the kids are like, I'll be late, he's like, you're late because you didn't start your chores on time. I don't have time for this. So I was like, Grandpa, I totally see this.
Yes.
So the whole family aspects, I really, really like this pilot. I thought it was great. I know we're running a little bit close on time, so I want to get to predictions really quick. Okay, so we're just gonna keep no drop for predictions. So you guys tell me, what do you guys think is gonna happen next week?
I think the costumes are going to stay fly because those costumes are on fleek. So I think it's just going to stay authentic. I think we're going to see Shaolin and Zeke get closer and hopefully more of Little Wolf.
I know. You'll see more of Little Wolf in the second half of the series. So that's coming out next year. I'm not sure exactly what time it will be, but yeah.
I know we have the first 6 episodes are out now, but it's a 12-episode series order.
Exactly.
Will we see you at all in the first half of the season?
The first half of the second season?
This
Oh, this
Right
season.
one.
Yeah, I'm in the first one. I'm in the 4th one, and I might be in the 6th one.
Cool.
Yeah, I have a pivotal. I have a
So I
pivotal scene in the
predict
4th.
we're going to see him in the 4th and 6th episode.
Oh yeah, I just gave it away. I ain't doing no more predictions. No more.
How about you? What do you think we're gonna see next?
I'm excited to see what happens with Mylene and her music. I'm also curious to see what happens with her and Zeke because I think there's going to be even more tension between them, and they're going to fight even more before eventually they hopefully come back together. So we'll see.
I have a toss between Dizzy and Yolanda are my 2 favorite characters, and I really feel like Dizzy got all the paint from Shaolin at the beginning, and I'm hoping that we get more cool train stuff. I really like the inclusion of graffiti in this as part of the culture and the startup, and especially the idea of things not being permanent but feeling like you've taken part in something and that you've created something. I think that's very cool and very hip-hop to be like, this may not even last. Like, this performance might just be for tonight. It's freestyle. It's off the head. I'm not supposed to memorize it, neither are you. It's very just for right now. And I like that we're getting to experience that across different types of art forms. So I'm really excited to see what happens next. Do you guys have any more questions you want to ask our guests?
Can we keep talking after this?
Yeah. We'll exchange Facebooks. That's the new
Done
number
and
now.
done.
Okay, good. Yes.
I think some guy liked me, and he was just like, "Let's swap Facebooks." I'm like, "Is that the new number? Are you not interested?" I don't know.
Cooper, tell us what else we can be looking out for you in.
Oh, hopefully there's a second season of Zoe Ever After, which is going to be on
Yeah.
Oh,
BET.
exciting.
So
Okay,
exciting.
great.
And right now I'm just continuously auditioning and looking for the next great thing. You know what I mean? So it's always a challenge and a hustle, and to have both of these roles come out so far, it's just I'm so grateful for the opportunity.
You're
So.
very talented. So
Thank you.
We look forward to
Thank
seeing
you so
soon.
much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Absolutely. All right, guys, tell our guests where they can find you.
Oh yeah. Twitter, Instagram. Is there another one? Facebook. Tory Devon Smith. Just look that up.
Yes. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Heather Yerrid.
All social media at Sheldon White 2.
Hi guys, I've been your host. I'm Joelle Monique. You can find me everywhere at Joelle Monique and every week at blackgirlnerds.com, reviewing movies, talking to stars, all the kinds of stuff. Thank you so much for joining us here at the Get Down on Black Hollywood Live. We can't wait to see you next week. Remember to comment, like us on iTunes, on the YouTube. We're everywhere. Thank you so much for being here. Have a great night.
From executives Kevin Undergaro, Dario Kristen, Tiana Hobson, and the entire BHL staff, we would like to thank you for supporting Black Hollywood Live, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. For questions and comments, contact us. info@blackhollywoodlive.com. Like us on Facebook, tweet us, or Instagram us at BHL Online. And I am the official voice of Black Hollywood Live, Scipio, Instagram at KingXOBay. Thanks for tuning in. The views expressed here are those of the host owner and do not necessarily reflect the views of BHL or its owners or principals.